Recording. So yeah, like I was saying, I think it's been more than 6 months where I've had a week where I take absolutely no trades. I saw some possibilities that I would have taken, but I just didn't manage to take it, which I think the only one was Euro JPY or Euro. Yeah, it was Euro. Yeah, Euro AUD, but it's okay. Sometimes no trades is better than a bad trade, right? I'd rather have a no trade week than a break even week, if that makes sense. Because if I have a break even week, that means that I took trades, I was in the market, like my psychology was being used. So taking no trades doesn't use that psychology. So let's get started this week, right? So let's touch up on the pairs from last week, and then we'll go on with the ones that I think are going to be looking good for this week. So USD NZD CAD, we were expecting sells from the neckline of the head and shoulders. We got the sells, but we had this huge break above. So I pretty much wasn't interested, obviously, when we broke above, broke under, no retest, and sold. So never got to take this trade, and we couldn't take the buy because we never body closed above. It would have body closed above. Waited for the retest of the support, resistance, and the EMA to go long, but we never got that. Then we have CAD JPY, which CAD JPY is pretty much still the same. One thing that I really do like is how we had this weekly doji candlestick. So if you notice, it's a weekly just moment, like that's all of last week's price action, just that right there. So you know, pretty hard to catch a trade in you know, a doji. There's not much you can do in there. What I do like is how the daily has rejected it, and now how the daily is starting to create a little retracement to sell to the downside. So I think this next weekly candlestick has to create that wick. You guys already know, create that little baby wick. Let's say create something like that before having the actual body candlestick to the downside. We can have some nice trades potentially coming in on the 4 hour, 1 hour, once we retest an area of interest, just like this one. So I'm waiting for price to pretty much like get here. Once we get here, kind of just shift and sell. Or if we have this shift over here, even better. So for me, so far, this trade remains exactly the same. I'm just waiting for it to actually play out. I actually do like this, how we're pulling up to this level right here. Level of resistance, and then support. Very solid. So something to take into consideration. I just think we have to create a little bit of a bigger wick on the weekly time frame, and that bigger wick can take, like, let's say somewhere around here. That wick could be something where it just breaks above or whatever. So for right now, we have CAD JPY as our number one. NZD CAD I am not interested in, so we'll put it down here. Alex, what do you think about the algo indicators? Are they worth to buy? I don't use indicators, man. I straight price action. AUD USD, pretty much. Let me take this off. So AUD USD sells that area of interest. Body closed above. We broke it. So now we went from bearish to bullish, but now we're back to bearish. So now this is the lower high, and then this is the lower low. If you notice, because we body closed under this right here. So we'll delete this for now. And I think this area of interest could pretty much be shifted to something like this as our area of interest one. Area of interest one. On the daily, we have resistance, support, resistance, so on and so forth. We go down to the 4 hour. We get to the 4 hour is technically bearish. We body closed under it, so we can probably potentially go bullish temporarily to make it up into here. Once we get up into here, then we wait for the shit to structure, and then we can sell. This one looks okay. We'll add an alarm here. Basically, what I have to do is I have to wait for this trade just to get that to that area of interest. Once we're at my area of interest, then I'll revisit it. So for now, we'll leave it there. USD JPY, I actually like. It's very clean. The weekly time frame is still bearish in my opinion, because I use this as the lower high. I like how we're under the weekly EMA. Daily time frame, if you notice, we are also technically bullish because we have low, high, and then we have broken above. So the daily time frame is bullish. But what I do like about the daily is how we are under this resistance, and now resistance level as well. And if you go down to the 4-hour time frame, we are retesting this neckline, but we technically went bullish. So it's a little bit tricky for me. The best trade to make the most sense and for it to be the most ideal would pretty much be a break of this structure point right here, just to have more time frames in sync. Because if you notice, all we have here is the weekly bearish, daily bullish, and then the 4-hour bullish. So the most ideal trade to take here would be a buy because these time frames are up, and then the only time frame that is down is the weekly. But I know why these time frames are bullish, and that's because it's having the retracement for this time frame. So the only way I would take it is if I could at least get another time frame, bearish, and that would, have to be the lower ones. So for me, I would want to have the 1 hour fully bearish. So the only way this trade would make sense to me is if we have the break and retest of this structure level right here. So this is where I would put my alarm, and I would put breaking the 1 hour higher low. Because technically you could count this as the higher low, but I just want to be extra sure because again, I only have one time frame in my favor. I want to have the majority of the time frames in my favor. So the shift of that right there would pretty much be the confirmation shift of the one, rejection of the neckline of the head and shoulders, rejection of the 4-hour EMA. And then on the 1 hour, we would be shifting. Then we would wait for the retest of it. And then by the time we have the retest, then the EMA would then drop as well. So this would be a very nice spot to look for the sell. Because again, we have the higher time frame, like we have the majority of the time frames bullish. Sorry, so I really don't want to force it. But the only thing that's doing it for me is where we are, that we are under this level. The fact that we're under this level is what's doing it for me. If this were to be like this, I wouldn't even be interested because we're clearly above it. But currently we are under it, so I'm just gonna keep entertaining it. Euro AUD, following last week, pretty much said once we get a break and retest from here, you guys can take the trade long. So this is I saw some of you guys took this trade. I didn't take this trade, but this trade was perfectly there. I was ideally saying we would get the break and then the retest to then sell. If you notice, we got the break, but then the retest, like price just pretty much like never stopped here. It just kept going, right? So we never got the sell. So Euro AUD, I am not interested in. We are at a higher high on the weekly. I'm just good, right? You guys know I don't like taking these type of trades. AUD CAD, I'm good. GJ, it's been such a long time. I'm good. NZDJPY. See, look, tell me, like, it's just like trading really just comes down to this, right? What would you rather trade? This or whatever this is doing, right? You're at the highest point. You want to trade something like this, like we're clearly breaking and then retesting this beautiful level of structure, this beautiful EMA. We could throw a line into here, and then we got round psychological 8,300. Like these are the type of trades that I take. That's why when people tell me like, oh, I only trade one pair, it's like, how does that even make sense? Like if you only trade one pair, let's say you only trade GJ, you got to, like, you know how much time you got to wait for it to line up and look for something like this. That's why I trade multiple different pairs, because I wait for the best trade setup within these pairs. So love this weekly time frame. I love how it looks. We're at a weekly area of interest, weekly EMA. Daily time frame, we have clearly rejected daily EMA, rejected area of interest, very strong level of resistance, support, resistance, support, so on and so forth. 4-hour time frame, like this is literally my trade right here, right? So we already know that this pullback right here, this daily pullback right here, on the 4-hour time frame, we have to go bullish, right? We have to go bullish on this pullback right here. All we have to wait for is on this pullback for us to go bearish, for us to sell. If you guys agree, type 1. If you guys don't agree, type 2. And don't worry, this is being recorded, so you guys are gonna get access to all this. Perfect, right? So if we go down to the 4-hour, what do we have? We have this time frame going bullish temporarily to have the pullback. If you notice, we're having the higher low, higher high, whatever. And then boom, we have shifted. This right here would have been the perfect trade to take. The break, the retest, bearish engulfing, put your stops above the area of interest, take profit at the next structure level. This would have been the perfect trade to take. Now, obviously, we didn't get in there, so we're gonna get on the next trade. So for me, the next trade for like this would be like the most ideal trade setup. It would be for the break and retest under this right here. So under this structure level would be the next trade for me, because it's confirming that we're going to keep going to the downside. Come here, and I would ideally want my stops to be above, but I understand it's too big. So I'll see depending on the rejection, or if we get back into here, if we come back into here and we get a shift the structure here, best believe I would take the trade gladly at this level to have an even bigger risk to reward. So this is definitely going to be my top 1. So I'm pretty much waiting for it to come back to my area of interest for here. So I'm going to add an alarm in this zone. At area of interest, or I'm going to add an alarm pretty much here, breaking this structure point. But the thing that I would want, honestly, mainly would be for it to come into this level. Like I want it to come into here because I wanted to create that weekly wick. Like I wanted to just do this. Give me that wick, and that's where we enter, because then it's going to give it the power to have the big move to the downside, right? I want that wick. So yeah, this definitely goes to the top of the food chain. GBP CHF, you guys already know what we're waiting for here. We're just waiting for that big position trade. AUD USD, this is the other trade that we potentially have. GU, we're at a higher high. Can't do much at a weekly higher high. I mean, we are pulling up to this level here on the daily. It's like very clean. Can't help to notice that. Yeah, this looks like a very solid day trade. Like this is the simplest, easiest day trade you can get. But for me, the only thing that blocks me is that we're at a weekly higher high. That's what I don't like. I like buying at a daily, weekly, that they're both at the same higher low. Because here you're pretty much what you're betting on right now is for trade to literally come here and just keep going up. The odds of that happening are likely, but it would just be so much better if they're both at this point. Like if the daily right now is like this, right? It's retesting this level, but the weekly right now is like this. So this isn't ideal to me. I would want for them both to be like that. So for me, it's like you're pretty much just betting on this to go up, and this can just have a wick. You can literally do a wick like that, and then you kind of get stopped out. So that's kind of why I'm not that interested in it. I'll add it just to down here for now, because you can't help to notice that it does look good. AUD JPY, AUD beautiful. Look at this, support, retesting, daily, retesting. So this is obviously the same thing as NZD JPY, because they're obviously both JPY pairs, and the AUD and the NZD, it's literally the same thing. So you pretty much have to take whichever one looks the cleanest. And to me, NZD JPY looks the cleaner one. USD CAD, you guys know this is a trade we were looking at like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Beautiful retrace. I think I even called this retracement into this level. Like I am not even going to lie. But now the daily time frame is fully bearish. This is a trade that we took. I'm good. Euro USD, same thing here. We're at a weekly higher high, daily kind of higher low. Doesn't look as clean. Euro JPY. So JP, I'm good. This just looks crazy to me. Euro GBP, Euro GBP. So the weekly time frame is still bullish, higher high, higher low. Daily time frame is, this just looks like, All right, so we are technically, I mean, we have this right here. We can flip this around. So we have a level of, yeah, I'm good on Euro GBP. And then we have gold. So gold is about to create this. This is, we're living through like history right now, like literally. We're about to create the highest high. We're about to create a new higher high. This is not good, right? Like this is not good in terms of just like economy and stuff, because obviously that means like everything else is like plummeting. So this is probably one of the most interesting things. I'm not trading this, right? Because like where do I let's say this breaks out or whatever, we do this, where do I set my take profit? Like there's nothing over here to the left. So I just personally don't like trading at these high points up here. I'm like I want to be in here. I want to get in the middle. It's a lot easier to me. But yeah, this is interesting what's happening with gold, right? I think it could no problem break this, especially with everything that's going on now. But yeah, for now I have nothing on gold. My prediction was this pullback and then the buy. So for this week we have 5 pairs, right? So we have NZD as number 1 for sells. We're gonna wait for it to come back, create that wick, or we're going to wait for it to pretty much break under here, give us the retest to then sell. USD JPY, basically the same thing. We're just waiting for the break under and retest to then sell. And then we have CAD JPY for, what are we waiting on CAD JPY? Yeah, so CAD JPY, we're waiting for the same thing, either like a shift of time frame or waiting for it to make it up here. Like if you notice, we have JPY pairs just for the same thing. They're all looking very, very, very good for sells. So it's just whichever one makes the most sense. And for now, this is the most one that's going to make sense. Like this movement right now doesn't bother me, doesn't scare me. I don't feel any type of way because market literally just opened like an hour and a half ago. We still have a whole ass week ahead of us. We have 4 New York sessions, 4 London sessions. So there's plenty of time for this to fluctuate. Like this can literally be creating this right now to then do this here, or it could even do this. Like this could even completely plummet now, but then it has a pullback to here and then it's literally the same trade, right? So I don't really like this doesn't really affect me at all, right? If anything, I like this because it's showing that there's movement already at the start of the week. So it's a good head start. AUD USD, little pullback into this level, almost creating like a left, almost creating like a left head and then a right shoulder. We're pretty much waiting for this little right shoulder in there to then sell. And then we have GBP USD for potentially a day trade up. The only way I would be interested in a day trade up would be at the break of this structure level, which let's put it like this. If this happens, I'll take it. I'll actually take this trade. So we'll put here, because if we get the break of this, fire. That means that we're getting the break of it. Then we get the retest the structure, same thing as all the other trades, and the EMA shifts, and then we head to the upside. So this is what I have for this week, and I have them categorized by the order that they are in.